Jace Denman for Flag Family Media. I'm here with MSUM head coach Steve Laqua. Coach, a flair for the dramatic is kind of all you can really say. Minot State, I mean, they are getting better at that system, and they are a handful to deal with. But what did you take away from your team finding a way to win that game last weekend?
Well, exactly what you said, find a way. The resiliency of these guys, I think it's embedded in their DNA. You don't see any quit. You don't see any panic. You don't see any wavering. There was a deep-rooted belief, and these guys went out there, and they kept the situation calm. It was not looking good in those last 10 minutes. It kept getting worse from bad to worse, and then we survived. We got to overtime, and then we get some big plays. I thought the huge tackle by Beach on second down, the third down big play by Tate forces a field goal, and then obviously the big play by Jack and BP to make that thing happen. But our guys were resilient. They stood up to the test. Now, we talked about on Monday morning, we created those problems on our own. We had this game sealed, up 17 with 10 minutes to go. We've got to be better at finishing games. We can't let them be able to get back in. First downs got to get taken care of by the offense to run that thing out. Defense, obviously, we got to get stops, and we can't have special teams penalties or mistakes that move the field. And so those are things we got to clean up, and we got to be better at moving forward.
When it comes to that fourth quarter, getting the one touchdown to cut it to a 10-point lead was one thing. Obviously, then there's kind of some passing plays. I know we talked to Coach Taylor James, and you guys were still expecting that team to fully to run the ball, as I think James and I were in the booth. But they kind of get some plays. Kallenbach was trying to go up and knock a play down. He trips. The onside kick was pretty interesting, to say the least. It goes about 13 yards, and that player bats it back. It goes loose. How do you regroup the focus of that team? Because obviously you got a big stop to force a field goal to tie it, and then you force a field goal in overtime. So how do you kind of regroup and refocus the team to say, we still got this,
I think it starts with just being calm, right? Energy and emotions are contagious. And so if we can stay calm, we can stay confident, we can stay believing as leaders, as a coaching staff, and as players, which I think our leadership council group did. They were great with that. It spreads the team. And then obviously you got to have some guys that make some plays. And so we had guys step up and make those plays and, ultimately finish the job for us.
Well, and obviously you talk about staying calm. We just talked to one of your linemen, Will Martin, and that's a big key for him, is seeing the coaching staff, the players obviously staying calm, etc. Just wanted to ask you quickly about Brady Perryman. BP sets another he has a record of his own now, all-time touchdown receiving leader for this program. What can you say about a guy like BP that just seems to go out there and make big plays all the time?
Well, phenomenal player in person. He's a guy that when the intensity's on, the pressure's on, the spotlight gets brighter, he just seems to just jump into that and make plays, and he's been there, he's delivered every single time, and so it's a guy that you want in your corner when the chips are on the table and there's pressure on. And so I'm happy for him because he works hard, he's a great human being, he's a great player, and so to see him have the success that he's had, not just in the big moments, but throughout his career, being able to rack up all those touchdowns.
Well, and I think once we get to the end of this season, I'm going to have to ask you about the legacy that players like Strand and Florence and BP all leave on this program as they graduate. Last thing we get into, obviously going out to Bismarck, out to Mary, battle for the paddle. How do you guys find a way to win this weekend?
Well, I think we talk about this, it is a paddle game, a rivalry game, but it's not about the paddle. It's about the guys that we have in the room that we've got to make sure we're right, we're playing for each other, we're doing the things that we ask ourselves to do as a team. And so now Mary is very much improved offensively. They are moving the ball all over the field. They're scoring points. And so we're going to have to be on top of things defensively. They give you a lot of different looks in a lot of different ways. They've had to do that because of necessity and injury. And so they've really expanded their offensive system. And so it's difficult to defend. And so we're going to have to do a great job getting stops early because it is a homecoming game. There is going to be a crowd behind them. It is a rivalry game. And so the early momentum is going to be important to be able to try and stop it that they're going to have built up.
Start fast.
Start fast.
All right, Coach. Best of luck this week, and we'll be there covering all the action. James McCarty and myself on AM 1192.3 FM. So obviously, best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, this is Jace Denman alongside head coach Steve Laqua from your MSUM Dragons. Have a great rest of your day.